Which axe do you think will be the most successful? And which are just not worth the money? Stay with me till the end and I'll show you my personal favourite. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Saturday morning, coming to the end of November, and the village is alive with activity because everyone's getting the last preparations in for winter. Mostly woodwork, but also repairs on properties, because once winter starts, it makes life a lot more difficult. At the moment, I've been dealing with wood for quite a while now, due to the fact that the logs I'm using, beech, are extremely heavy. We keep getting rain, which makes the logs very slippy. It's exhausting work, it really is. Before we start talking about wood, and especially axes, safety rules. Steel toe cap boots. I always go with S3 safety standard, which means it has a steel toe cap and, like the old Vietnam jungle boots, like a little metal bar underneath to stop nails piercing through. Always wear gloves. Now, gloves are not going to stop crushing. They will stop your hands getting shredded, because after the logs have been chainsawed, the wood is very sharp and there are lots of splinters and bits sticking out. A month ago, I managed to crush my little finger in two places, two separate bones, because a log I'd put onto the chopping block fell and just crushed it. Trying to chop wood after it, whew, that's good fun. What I really want to talk to you about today is different types of axe, specifically for splitting logs. Now, I know nowadays you actually have log splitters, which you put the log in and it does it automatically. When you chop, you need two hands on the axe, because when you swing, it's simple physics. You've got a large heavy weight with a wedge, and you've got momentum from that weight coming down, and it splits the wood. The reason you have two hands is to stop it. You don't want it to continue going. If it continues going, that is when you lose your shin or other extremities. I also wanted today to talk about the different types of axe, because there's a lot of bollocks being said on Bushcraft and off-grid channels what to use. The first thing I want to rule out completely for any of you who are going off to the forest to do things, Bushcraft, batoning is out. Completely out. You'll never see me doing batoning. And anyone who calls themselves like a woodsman or a woodswoman, if you're going to a forest for an extended period, take an axe, take a hatchet. Do not just take a knife. And do not try splitting logs with the back of a knife and a stick or whatever else. If you break your knife blade, which will happen eventually, you're then stuck without any sharp implement whatsoever. No real outdoorsman would go to the forest for an extended period without an axe, because your primary source of fuel is wood and your primary building material is wood. Therefore, you need a tool designed to deal with that material, wood. So, we're going to start with the smaller axes, the hatchet level. If you're only going off for a weekend somewhere, then use a hatchet. Me, I use a hatchet every day for kindling, to light my fire. But over the years, I've learnt what works and what doesn't. Let's see first what doesn't work. The military style tactical axes. Look how thin that is. This is more like an uluk for cutting blubber. It is a throwing axe. That is it. It is for throwing. An axe must have a wedge. If it doesn't have a wedge, it's not an axe. I would not take this to the field with me. Leave that one for fun and decoration. The other type of hatchet I see often is this type. Now this one, it's not as bad as some I've seen. Some have a tubular metal haft, and what generally tends to happen, the first time you use it against something heavy, it will just bend into a U shape. For me, this is a brick axe. It's got a nice grip to cushion the blow. It doesn't have much of a profile, as you can see. This is good for splitting bricks or masonry work, not, as you can see, for chopping. And then you have your bog standard camping axe or wood axe or hatchet. Again, look at the profile. Now these type of axes, either in the small hatchet size or in the boy's axe size, or even the felling axe size, which is much bigger. These are good for actually chopping down a tree. In this case it would be a sapling, but these are designed to cut into the wood to bring something down. They're not designed to split. That's something completely different. Split is pure physics and strength, whereas chopping is like this. Would I recommend getting one of these? No. I need a multifunctional hatchet or an axe specifically designed for splitting logs. So let's have a look at what I use for small work. It's lunchtime. Okay, you can buy very expensive versions of this. This one's an X-Tine. It's a Czech company, I believe. I've had it for a few years. Now, for those who say your equipment should be, authentic, it should be wood, it should be iron, they don't like this because it's got an ABS handle and it's got a very strange profile. But as you can see from the profile, it is a wedge. And at the back you have for hammering. It's got a sharp enough, this is really sharp. This is sharp enough to chop down a small tree. Most importantly, it has the wedge to split logs, small logs. I am restricted massively on the size of the log I can chop with this. Okay, now onto the big boy axes. When you're dealing with logs, which are, when split into multiple pieces, are this size, just this is 1/8 of a log, and this in itself weighs about 15 kilos maybe. To get to that stage, you need something that will do the job. Here we go back to our boy's axe, or our felling axe. Let's look at the profile again. As you can see, there is very little wedge on the end. This again is designed for chopping down a tree. It cuts deep and the tree will come down. When you're chopping a log, it's completely different. You're going into dense material and this will get stuck. The first time you hit it in, it'll just get stuck and you'll have your boot on it trying to like lever it off. And then you put yourself in danger. The log can come over on you, the axe can come back at you. Right tool for the right job. Good for chopping down trees, awful for splitting logs. Now this next type is what's called the German type, and that is specifically designed with a wedge that pushes the material away. You can see I also use it for hammering in wedges into the logs when an axe won't do. Now I use this for many years. This is a small version. I actually have a much bigger version, but it needs rehafting. That's why it's got duct tape on this one. Some have metal fronts I've put on, because you will split your shaft. That sounds more painful than it actually is. You're going to miss. When you're doing a repetitive action for a long time, you're going to miss. And with the sheer force and weight, this one's about, I think this is only a 3 kilo head. The one I have in my garage is a 5 kilo head. This, you hit the wood wrong, it doesn't matter how good your hickory handle is, it will explode on you. I stopped using this because I was given this bad boy. Now this is an antique. This is very simple and it weighs a ton. This is a 5 kilo head, and as you can see, I've used a metal barrier to protect damage. And this was given to me by my wife's uncle, a real mountain man who has spent his entire life foresting, logging. He knows what he's doing. And this type is called a splitting maul. As you can see, it's not even really an axe. It's just a very heavy wedge. The blade doesn't even need to be that sharp, because this is all about momentum and splitting the wood with sheer force. Booyaka. Try doing that for a few hours. See where that gets you. For the last couple of seasons I've been using this, and to a certain extent it's probably the best I've used, the best type of axe. But there are still logs which this can't deal with. Some of the bigger logs, the ones I can't even lift, for those ones you need metal wedges and a 6 kilogram sledgehammer. And, as always, be free.